Imagine waking up one day to realize that most people around you have stopped questioning anything. The world has become so loud, so fast, so saturated with information that the human mind, once a tool for inquiry and discovery, has dulled into passive acceptance. Think about that. What happens to a society when critical thinking vanishes? When reasoning, reflection, and dialogue are replaced by instant reactions, surface-level opinions, and echo chambers that reward noise over truth? In this video, we're going to uncover the disturbing truth behind the disappearance of critical thinking and the dangerous rise of what some philosophers now call collective stupidity, a phenomenon where millions of people surrender their intellectual independence without even realizing it. Before we go deeper, take a moment to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. The content you're about to experience may challenge your perceptions, maybe even shake how you see the world. But truth begins where comfort ends. So, the death of thought. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Thinking is hard, and in today's world, it's often discouraged. The modern environment doesn't reward contemplation. It rewards speed, emotional reaction, and conformity. And this isn't by accident. From algorithms that feed you what you already believe, to schools that reward memorization over curiosity, society is conditioning us away from thinking critically. Decades ago, Noam Chomsky warned us about this in his analysis of media and propaganda. He called it the manufacturing of consent. When people are trained to agree without understanding, to consume without questioning, they become easy to manage and even easier to deceive. Critical thinking once meant strength. Now it's seen as inconvenient. It slows down online debates. It interrupts outrage. It asks the one question modern culture fears most. But is this really true? Information overload. How did we get here? The problem runs deep, and it begins with information overload. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin found that the average person today processes 5 times more information than just a few decades ago. Notifications, breaking news, ads, messages, opinions. Every second, our brains are under siege. But the mind wasn't built for this. When overwhelmed, it takes shortcuts, relying on biases, habits, and herd behavior. Instead of evaluating truth, we follow signals, likes, shares, popularity. That's not logic. That's social proof. A survival instinct that once kept tribes safe, now hijacked by digital systems that profit from our attention. We see a post with 1 million views and think, it must be true. But that's not reason speaking. That's conditioning. And it's one of the reasons collective stupidity spreads so easily. The collapse of depth. Another warning sign, the death of deep reading. Neuroscientist Marianne Wolf says our brains are being rewired by digital media. We skim, we scroll, we jump between tabs, but we rarely focus. And yet, critical thinking requires focus, sustained attention. You cannot analyze, reflect, or understand when your attention span is fractured. Ask yourself, when was the last time you read an entire article without checking your phone? When was the last time you paused before reacting to something provocative? To think instead of react. These small habits, once normal, are vanishing. And with them, so is the capacity to think. As Carl Sagan warned, we live in a society exquisitely dependent on science and technology, in which hardly anyone knows anything about science and technology. The danger is not ignorance. It's the erosion of the ability to think critically about the systems we depend on. If you believe truth still matters, hit that subscribe button right now. Because in a world that rewards conformity, staying curious is an act of rebellion. The systems of control. The roots of this crisis go deeper, into our education systems, our media, and even our emotions. Teacher and author John Taylor Gatto once said, "Schools don't really teach anything except how to obey orders." Our schools were built during the industrial age, not to create thinkers, but to produce obedient workers. From childhood, we're rewarded for compliance, not creativity. We're taught what to think, not how to think. This pattern follows us into adulthood. In workplaces, in friendships, even online, questioning consensus can cost us. The fear of being labeled difficult, controversial, or wrong keeps us silent. But silence over time becomes complicity. Psychologist Eric Fromm saw this coming. He said many people secretly want to surrender their freedom because freedom demands responsibility, and responsibility is terrifying. To think for yourself means to stand alone, and most would rather belong than be right. The emotional trap. Even the most intelligent minds fall for the same traps because the brain is more emotional than rational. Daniel Kahneman, in Thinking Fast and Slow, revealed that our brains run on two systems, one fast and emotional, one slow and deliberate. Most people live in fast mode, reacting, judging, scrolling. But true thinking happens only when we slow down. Politicians, advertisers, and influencers all know this. They use emotional language, repetition, and simplicity to bypass reason. And once something feels true, we defend it even when it's false. That's confirmation bias, one of the most powerful forces shaping the collective mind today. We don't seek truth, we seek comfort. We don't want to know what's real, we want to feel right. The courage to think. Throughout history, progress has always come from those who refuse to follow the crowd. Galileo, Darwin, Nietzsche, Martin Luther King. Each was ridiculed, condemned, or attacked for thinking differently. But they thought anyway. And that's the essence of critical thought. The courage to question not just the world, but yourself. Why do I believe what I believe? Who benefits if I keep believing it? What am I afraid to question? When you ask those questions honestly, something shifts. You stop being a product of the system and start becoming its observer. And that's where freedom begins. Reclaiming the mind. Critical thinking is not just intellectual, it's spiritual. It's the act of choosing truth over comfort, growth over certainty, freedom over approval. The philosopher Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." But facing yourself, your fears, your biases, your inherited beliefs, is the beginning of wisdom. Every moment you pause before reacting, every time you question instead of assume, every time you choose clarity over comfort, you reclaim your power. So let others sleepwalk through slogans and screens. Let them trade their freedom for validation, but not you. Because once you awaken, once you start thinking for yourself, you can never go back. If this message resonated, share it. Not because it's popular, but because it's necessary. Stay curious, stay awake, and above all, keep thinking.